and we are back to discuss more Mandalorian. And I have to say, Preston, either you're a psychic connected to the Weirwood net, or you're secretly on the Mandalorian development team. You're secretly like the cameraman or the writer, one of the writers, because you have said two things that have actually come true.
You're talking about Boba Fett's return?
Boba Fett's return. I was like, nah, there's no way Boba Fett's gonna come back this season. Maybe next season. He comes, and you were like, I think he's gonna come back this season. Came back this season, and last year when we were doing Mandalorian season 1, you were saying how you felt as though Fennec Shand, when she was lying there dead, the person who came up, you can only see their feet. You thought it was Boba Fett. I was like,
yeah, I did.
It might have been Moff Gideon. But no, you were correct there too. It was Boba Fett, and he did help her out, and now they're a team.
I mean, it's kind of funny that after all of these years where we're like waiting for Boba Fett's return, it's happened. Here it is. I mean, I suppose he was doing badass things. Probably the most badass things we've ever seen Boba Fett do, considering that Boba Fett is a fuck up, right? So here we actually see him taking out a freaking million stormtroopers. Like, so much death, so much ridiculous death.
Preston, we're not gonna get your like another rant of you.
No. This time, all I thought about was Commando. So you know the movie Commando, when at the end when Arnold Schwarzenegger like comes in and he just starts taking out a complete army all by himself, and it's
where he has the machine gun and he has like he's shirtless and he's just yeah.
But like Commando is tongue in cheek, like they made that movie understanding that this was ridiculous. So what's funny is that like somebody has taken Commando, not understanding that it was satire, and then decides to like do the same sort of thing but completely serious. Like, oh yeah, 100 stormtroopers and a guy in a stick, sure, takes them all out.
I find it funny that I don't know if this term has been coined yet on Twitter or whatever, but he has that Boba Belly.
Oh God, I totally thought about that, especially when he put the armor back on. And I was like, "Oh, he definitely doesn't fit that armor anymore."
So this might be somewhat of an Easter egg, but so Star Wars Rebels takes place, a couple years before A New Hope, and one of the clone troopers, Rex, was able to override his Order 66 programming, and he's an older man. He's a clone trooper clone, and he's an older man. His name is Rex. He's the older man in Return of the Jedi that goes down to Endor. In one of the episodes in Rebels, Rex and one of the main characters infiltrates an Imperial base or whatever, and he puts on a Stormtrooper outfit, but his belly is hanging out a little bit. So I think that's where that Easter egg was from.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because I saw the actor. I think I saw him last in Aquaman, and he I guess he looked pretty fit there. But who knows? He definitely had a belly. People get bellies as they get older. So, but yeah, Boba Fett definitely looked out of shape.
What was he doing on Tatooine all that time? Because I think Mandalorian takes place 6 or 7 years after Return of the Jedi.
Right. So there's a lot of questions that come out of this. More questions than answers, really. So, one, how exactly did he get out of the Sarlacc? Was it that the Sarlacc was killed by the Krayt Dragon, I'm assuming, and somehow he crawled out, and that was lucky. But then, somehow his armor, he lost his armor, and we don't know how it got into. Somehow he lost the armor in the sand, and some Jawas picked it up and then gave it to Timothy Olyphant. But
that's exactly what happened.
But why wouldn't Boba Fett go after Timothy Olyphant? That seems like a pretty easy target.
Oh, the easiest target. You're right, actually. I see in my head right now. I keep hearing that Yoda spin-off character from Force Awakens telling Rey a good question for another time.
Yeah.
And we might get the answers to this in either a video game or a comic or whatever else. But I feel like that's what's going to happen. Because we also might get a Boba Fett spinoff, so maybe it'll be answered there.
I see. Yeah. I mean, he was definitely chilling out for a long time. with not going after Timothy Oliphant's armor. Enough where he's like finds Ming-Na in the sand, and revives her, turns her into an android, like fixes her up pretty well. Like, yeah, has some resources.
And I will say, we got another episode that essentially gave us a main quest. So far, only one episode this entire season has been side quest, which was episode 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was wondering how they're going to pull it all together and because we've got the Boba Fett plot, we had the Moff Gideon plot, and I guess now we have an Admiral Thrawn kind of plot. But now it seems to have we've tied them together quite a bit, and not the Admiral Thrawn stuff. You think that might be for the spinoff, but we Boba Fett's now part of Team Mando.
That was weird, but we'll get into that. So, the Mandalorian arrives with Grogu on Tython and finds the ancient temple on top of a mountain. He places Grogu at the center so he can choose his path. Grogu starts meditating, and a protective force field appears around him. Boba Fett arrives with the mercenary Fennec Shand, whose life he saved on Tatooine, and demands the return of his Mandalorian armor. And I gotta say, the one thing I'm actually on the I don't know if I like this or if I kind of am annoyed by it. I'm leaning more towards the show Mandalorian really doesn't hold back in regards to giving us characters that are very popular in, the current, the meta story. For example, Ahsoka. I thought Ahsoka was not going to appear until the very end of the last episode. Yeah. She appears literally within the first 2 minutes.
Right. Yeah, like there's not much, they give you everything. They don't tease. Like,
they don't tease, there's no subtleties.
3 episodes in a row, right? Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, Boba Fett. Like, just 3 episodes in a row. I imagine, like, next episode we're going to get Captain Rex, and then the next episode will be, like, Zorba the Hutt, or, some old fan
Zorba the Hutt?
Zorba the Hutt is Jabba's dad, who comes after, he comes after Luke and Han and Leia in various extended universe books to get revenge on them for killing Jabba. Yeah.
Like, I thought Boba Fett would have appeared in a cooler way, but he just literally lands his ship on the horizon. Like, he literally just comes in flying in.
Right. You're like there's I don't know if it's Slave 1 or Slave 2. I know in the extended universe he was always flying around Slave 2, but it's probably still Slave 1. There's no reason I guess Slave 1 would be gone. But yeah. So he just flies in Slave 1 immediately, and you're like, oh, there's Boba Fett. Okay.
What I also found was weird was that as soon as Boba Fett comes in on the Slave 1, Mando's like, oh, kid, hurry up, we gotta get out of here. Like, why? How do you not know that's not a Jedi?
Right. Yeah.
Like, that was weird and a little confusing. Like, you came there to have Grogu reach out into the Force, and maybe a Jedi will come to him. Right. But, like, someone came. How do you know that's not a Jedi on that ship?
That absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. The other thing I was thinking is, why aren't all of these people shooting from the sky? When you have air superiority over people on the ground, why would you land and then have everybody run out?
That's a good question, Preston. Time.
Boba Fett did it, and then the Stormtrooper Ship 1 did it, Stormtrooper Ship 2 did it, and then finally, one could maybe argue that Stormtrooper Transport 1 and 2 were distractions, but I don't know. It was really weird. Like, they're on the ground, just shoot them. You've got a ship. Ah, well.
Yeah, that is true, but we wouldn't have Boba Fett going crazy and literally fucking these guys up with such an intense ferocity. Like, the way he fights is so animalistic. I kind of I really like it. Holy fuck. But following a tense confrontation, the Mandalorian agrees to trade the armor for the safety of Grogu. The 2 shuttles arrive, and stormtroopers come out of it, and they attempt to capture the little kid. But honoring their agreement, Fett and Shand and the Mandalorian join forces and try to stop the stormtroopers, inflicting heavy casualties on them. Moff Gideon arrives in his Imperial Star Cruiser and destroys the Mandalorian ship from orbit. Gideon sends out 4 robotic Dark Troopers, finally confirmed, who kidnap Grogu and take him aboard their cruiser before fleeing. Fett and Shand agree to help the Mandalorian save Grogu to honor their debt, which... What debt? Like, I feel as though
he agreed. It's funny because at first you're like, oh, this is a really bad deal for the Mandalorian. Like, safety for the child in the next 10 minutes for Mandalorian armor, that seems like a bad deal. And then later it becomes a great deal. Like, no, I promised you safety for the child. I guess I've got to frickin' rescue him from an Imperial like an Imperial cruiser. So all of a sudden it becomes a fantastic deal.
yeah, but like it's so paper thin. Like he literally could just leave and that's it. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
he promised not to kill the child, and he didn't kill the child, and there it is.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
like,
it's weird.
Shan and Boba Fett are not in his debt. Like,
Especially considering that Mando fully expected that he wouldn't. So apparently now apparently now Boba Fett is the most honorable motherfucker in the galaxy.
Mandalorian seeks the now Marshal Cara Dune's help in breaking out the criminal Mayfeld in order to track Gideon's cruiser and rescue Grogu. Impressed with Grogu's force powers, Gideon informs Dr. Pershing that the midichlorian donor is available, ending the episode. So most of the episode was entirely action, which I don't mind. A lot
It's
of
like every
stormtrooper,
episode, yeah.
yeah, a lot of stormtrooper destruction, which once again I'm completely fine with, and yeah, overall the episode was great. I still like the last one better, but still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I would have been. It's funny because I would have liked the episode more had they defeated 20 stormtroopers instead of 200 stormtroopers. Like at some point, it just became cartoonish. Like, oh
A
god,
little bit.
like, oh, you're gonna roll a rock down a hill to kill 4 or 5 stormtroopers. Of course, the rock, goes exactly the path where the stormtrooper is. It's just, and of course they're gonna be like, give yourself up, like instead of shooting, because that's the way the Imperials are. The Imperials are so merciful, and our heroes are just not.
The one thing that kind of annoys me is that, like, you see this in every shooter ever, whether it's, Star Wars or whatever else. Instead of just shooting them from, like, 30 feet away, they only ever shoot when they run up and aim the gun right at their face.
Yeah. But if they run up and aim at their face, it's always freeze, give yourself up. Like, dude, like you can't have it both ways. You're like, I'm only gonna take a shot if I'm close enough where I can get him. But then once I'm close enough to get him, I'm gonna give him the opportunity to surrender. You're like, these stormtroopers, they're so nice. Freeze, rebel scum.
I will say though, they really took all the criticisms we lobbied at the show in season 1 to heart. We only had one side quest episode this season, and everything else has been main quest.
Yeah.
And one of the things I said last time was I kind of wanted to see more of the Empire, more stormtroopers, and we definitely got more stormtroopers. We definitely got more Empire, and now I feel like it's I feel like it's Dave Filoni's job, because he is also doing this with Jon Favreau. I feel like it's Dave Filoni's job to bring things from Legends into the new canon, because
I do. I think I figured out things. Well, first of all, I think Jon Favreau writes things like a 13-year-old boy would write things, which is
what? What do you mean?
Like a 13-year-old boy, if he were writing Star Wars, would write like this episode the way it was. Like, oh my god, like the Mandalorian, he like lands on this planet, and they like need to like communicate with the Jedi, and then Boba Fett arrives. And they fight, and they're gonna fight, and then some stormtroopers arrive, and then they fight, and they kill the stormtroopers, and they gotta team up, and then then some robot Empire guys fly down and steal Yoda, and then Boba Fett and the Mandalorians gotta team up to get him back. Like it's very fanboyish to the very boyish. Like there's no subtlety, like everything is just blunt. Like, and then Boba Fett arrives. It's like Dave Filoni is more about like, what have I, previously established in this universe, and how can I like place it in this? How can I slip in my characters, right? And
Pretty
like,
much, yeah.
And like all of the Star Wars like legends, and not even legends in the sense of like extended universe, but I mean the continuity. Like that's what he's doing.
So That's essentially, it is what he's doing. Like Thrawn, Dave Filoni introduced Thrawn in Star Wars Rebels. Thrawn was originally a Legends character.
Yeah.
He introduced Thrawn not only in Rebels, but he's reintroducing Thrawn into the universe post Endor, which is amazing. And when Boba Fett shows Mando at the very end, the armor's chain code or whatever, someone translated what the letter said, and we also have another
really?
Legends. Yeah, you know how the fans are.
Oh, God. I
someone
just was surprised it wasn't gibberish, that's all.
I think it's Arabesh or something like that.
Yeah,
But regardless,
yeah,
someone translated it, and they're bringing another character from Legends in there who was Django's like foster father or whatever. But
Oh.
no, that's essentially the whole thing. And I also like that they're kind of bringing back Mayfeld, not the other cartoony, annoying characters from the heist episode last season, but only Mayfeld, played by Bill Burr, which I actually want to see more of him.
I mean, that's the thing. Isn't this all fan service? Like, oh, we're going to have Bill Burr and Boba Fett. And like, wait, you're teaming up Bill Burr and Boba Fett? Like, this is like,
And making it good though, you have to admit.
but
This
what I
episode was
also
pretty
think is
good.
interesting is retroactively, they're making all of the side quest episodes into main episodes, right? Because like the Gunslinger was the Ming Na episode. And like normally that would just be a throwaway side quest. I mean, other than the Boba Fett boots thing at the end. But now she's in the cast, like on a regular basis, you know? And then the heist episode, like, oh, like we thought that was just a one-off random adventure. Well, no, it actually like feeds into the Rebel Alliance liking Mando and letting him get away. And then they're bringing back the Bill Burr character. So it sounds like maybe there are no side quest characters, you know? Maybe Akecheta's girlfriend will come back from you know the sanctuary.
Somehow I highly doubt that. But god damn it, I think you were actually right. That actually is kind of cool that all these one-off characters that you only saw one time are kind of coming back. And
right,
you know,
they even brought that dead droid back, right? You know, the
IG-11.
Yeah, the dead droid was in the heist episode too. Yeah. So
No, not IG-11. The one that was played by the British comedian. Yeah, it was in episode 2. The frog.
But you're
lady
right
uses
about
him to
IG-11
translate.
too. Yeah, IG-11. Yeah.
Wow, that's actually a very good point. I didn't realize that until you brought it up. Good shit. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like that they're doing that, but they're also redoing what they did in season 1, where Mando goes around kind of low key recruiting people. He's kind of recruiting people again, but these are the people that you kind of want. It's almost like the Suicide Squad in a sense, you know.
Yeah.
He's going around recruiting the Suicide Squad. Boba Fett, Shand. I'm sure Bo-Katan's gonna show up. I doubt Ahsoka will, but Mayfeld. Like he's essentially recruiting them to go take on Gideon, like at his home base, wherever that may be, most likely on the Star Cruiser. And yeah, that is kind of a suicide mission.
So I have a whole bunch of like questions for, you know, you, because you have watched Rebels and Clone Wars and have read a lot of the extended universe. So first off, Moff Gideon, he seems to classify the Darksaber in the same category as a lightsaber. You know, like at the end when he showed off the Darksaber to Baby Yoda, you know, he definitely made it. He definitely like showed it in the sense like this is a Jedi weapon. Weren't we before like talking about whether the Darksaber is a lightsaber or not, or you know, is it an inverse lightsaber or what? Like what's the established history of the Darksaber again?
I think it's just a lightsaber, but dark. I'm pretty sure that's
it's just a black lightsaber.
It's just a black lightsaber. It's incredibly rare. Supposedly the only one of its kind, and that's basically it. Essentially, the first Mandalorian ever inducted to the Jedi Order. You know, he made it, and when he passed away, the Jedi just kept it in the temple. But then members of like, you know, that Mandalorian's family down the line stole it back, and yeah.
So because it was stolen from the Jedi, the ancient enemy of the Mandalorians, are we to assume that like that's the reason it's so important to the leader of the Mandalorians to have, is that look, like I'm a badass, I've got like the ancient artifact that like we stole from the Jedi, haha, you know.
It's more or less a symbol. It's like you said last time, because you already asked me this question before.
Yeah.
I think it's what was the example you used in
So
Game of Thrones?
it's Blackfire. Yeah.
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 So it's more or less a symbol, really.
Yeah. Okay.
And I forgot to say this last time, but totally got reminded. That's the only reason I think Mando got the Beskar's spear, and they introduced it in the first place, so he could fight Moff Gideon. Because the only thing that can really
Oh,
take on
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, you're 100% right. There's no reason why except for him to have a one-on-one fight with that spear and the Darksaber. Yeah.
basically, yeah. Like
I mean that's 1,000% gonna happen. You're absolutely right.
he needs a way to fucking fend off this thing, and I doubt they're gonna give him a lightsaber. So
Yeah. No, you're right. Okay. Well, I'm sure. Is that? Do you think that'll happen this season? Do you think they're gonna save that? Well, they don't seem to be saving anything. I was like, oh, when are they gonna bring in Boba Fett? And you were like, maybe season 3. Nope, he's here. He's here now.
I'm actually surprised that they're doing this. And honestly, I thought this episode... I'm surprised we even went to Tython. I'm surprised we even had a main quest this episode.
Right, because last week you were like, well, if there's going to be a filler episode, it's going to be this week. And nope, freaking Boba Fett.
I'm assuming next episode we're actually going to bust Mayfield out. It's going to be a whole thing. And then the last episode would be like the final battle between our heroes and...
It's the same writer. So next week's episode is the same writer as the guy who wrote the original Prisoner episode with Bill Burr. So he's like coming back. So the dialogue will be consistent because it'll be the same writer.
By the way, the New Republic is harsh with their prison sentence. So Mayfeld's getting 50 years, and rightly so, because he had a hand in the prison break and killing that guy. But according to this, there was one guy that passed, and of course the fans paused it and translated. One guy got 95 years for an assault of a New Republic officer.
Huh.
So killing a New Republic officer gives you 50, but just like assaulting one gives you 95 years. Holy fuck.
Well, the Star Wars universe is not a nice place. Like a lot of animal brutality, slavery, kidnapping families, like just mass murder, blowing up planets. I mean, it's not a great place to live. Okay. I mean, the best you can hope for is to be a moisture farmer somewhere and have everybody leave you alone. Like that's like the best life you can have, Just leave me alone. I just want to moisture farm. Jesus.
And we also got the confirmation that these are Dark Troopers. They look like Phase 2 Dark Troopers, which, Phase 3 are supposed to be like giant, like Hulk-busting motherfuckers. So Phase 2
if you're going to have a Darksaber, you need to have Dark Troopers, right?
See, just by saying that, you made it really lame now. Now it sounds really lame. Darksaber, Dark Troop, that's so fucking lame. It's just so lame now.
You realize it might be like, like Future Cop, like they have a set number of words that they just kind of like merge together. They're like, we've used lightsaber. What else? What sounds badass? Black saber, death saber, killer saber, dark saber. There it is. We got it.
It's pretty much what it is. I will say I love his cape. His cape, look, for some reason, with me and bad guys in the Star Wars universe, they got to have a cape. And quite frankly,
Oh god! But, I forgot to tell you real quick. I watched the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. Mm-hmm. It was not good. There's like 7 good jokes, and they're all in the preview. So you can just watch the preview, and like you have the whole thing. But there is one.
Why would you watch this?
Because I went on to Disney Plus for some reason, and it was there, and I was like, oh. I thought when I saw Holiday Special, I was like, I wonder if it's going to be like similar to the original Holiday Special. And they actually had Itchy, Lumpy, and Chewbacca's wife is what, Mala or something? Have you ever seen the original Star Wars Holiday Special?
No, and mostly because of like how everybody says it's awful, so I just kind of steer clear.
It's awful, but not in like a good awful way. It's really boring and slow. So it's like really intolerable to watch. But
Oh, really?
yeah, the only interesting part is there's a cartoon in the middle, which is Boba Fett's first introduction. But the main characters of the Star Wars Holiday Special is Chewbacca's family, and Chewbacca's family is his son Lumpy, his wife Mala, and his father-in-law Itchy. And
His father-in-law.
I think it's his
Jesus
father-in-law. It
Christ.
might be his father. I've got I have to look it up, but it's something like, I forget it. I think it's his father-in-law, but it's really ridiculous. Like, oh, Chewy, and you're Itchy, and you're Lumpy. Great, great. Like, that's anyway. They actually make an appearance in the Lego Holiday Special. But one of the jokes they have is like, it's good gift give, and they got the original voices for some of the people. Like, so Billy D. Williams plays Lando Calrissian, and there's a scene where like he gets a present for Life Day, and he's like, please let it be a cape. Please let it be a cape. Like, what else would you want? Like, that's the only thing to give people is capes.
Oh, Billy. No, man. Just no.
Anthony
Man.
Daniels
No.
plays C-3PO. They got a lot of the cartoon people to redo their voices. Like the guy who played Anakin's voice in like Rebels does Anakin's voice. There's time travel. Essentially, Rey goes through time and like to all the different properties, including Mandalorian, and gets all of these different characters and interacts with them all. There's a couple jokes, but like, at one point they go back in time, and it's like in Return of the Jedi, and they're like, we're unleashing, the Death Star 2. And Darth Vader's like, why didn't you go with my name? I wanted to call it Star Killer Base. And he's like, Star Killer Base? That's a really lame name.
That's actually funny.
All in the preview, but it's not good. But I just had to bring up the cape thing and the fact that I wasted my time on that.
But other than talking about the action scenes where Boba Fett has the Boba Belly and he fucks up everybody, and Dark Troopers, Moff Gideon, the child is now captured. There's not really much to say about this episode.
Why was he? Well, I mean, I have a lot of questions. Like, why would he choose to go to a cane? Like, can't he get another blaster? Like, isn't that his weapon of choice?
Well, he did have one. Like,
Okay.
he did have like this this weird gun, this weird rifle that I think the Sand people use. So, and he put that down. That's the first weapon he put down in front of Mando. I guess he just wanted to go close quarters.
I see. I mean, I guess last time he went close quarters with a blaster, it didn't go so well.
You know what? That's actually I wonder if that's why.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's why.
He had his blaster sliced in half, and then
And I will say, like, he goes, the Empire, they're back. Well, you've worked for the Empire several times. Not to mention, the Empire is not really back. Though I would see how he would think that.
I guess if he's just been hanging on Tatooine, but weren't there? I guess there weren't any stormtroopers on Tatooine.
I would assume like they probably like left all the planets that are kind of backwater planets like Tatooine and are mostly focusing on the actual valuable resources.
Yeah, I mean, how is he getting by? Like, what has he been eating all of these years? Like, did he go back into bounty hunting?
I would assume this was all going to be like answered in his own little spin-off series because they started filming Kenobi, and they're currently right in the middle of production on the Casey and Andor, which I don't even know if I want to cover that. Like, who the fuck cares? Do you remember who Casey and Andor is?
Is he the guy is he one of those forgettable Rogue One people?
He's the main guy. He's the guy from Narcos Mexico.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one of the forgettable. Yeah. That sounds like that would just be boring. Why would I want to watch his story?
I mean, it might surprise us. Who knows? Well, I guess we'll still cover it. But like I said, overall, this episode pretty cool. It was nice seeing Slave One. It's very surreal hearing. I'm gonna butcher the guy's name. I apologize. Timura Morrison, I think his name is. It's very surreal hearing him again.
Yeah.
Because because he played Django.
Yeah.
Like, that was the original Jango Fett actor, and they came back. And he re-recorded all the lines of the original Boba Fett actor for Empire and Return of the Jedi.
It's funny because his voice is huskier now. So like before, I remember his Kiwi accent was a little more apparent, and now you can barely tell he's Kiwi. Like he's just kind of got this like husky voice.
I'm assuming it's because he's older, which would
Yeah.
make sense because once again, this is post Return of the Jedi, like several years. So
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you about So you were saying that they kind of established in Rebels that Jango Fett wasn't a real Mandalorian, and now they're going and saying he was a real Mandalorian. So what's the deal?
So, in the Clone Wars television show, Obi-Wan encounters this Mandalorian politician, and he asks the guy about Jango, and the guy's like, oh, he was probably just some brigand who stole Mandalorian armor. And I guess this is not a retcon, but another explanation as to how Jango could be a Mandalorian. Like our main character, he's Mandalorian, but he wasn't born on Mandalore, Like a better way to describe it, I guess, would be, you can still be an American citizen despite not being born in America.
Gotcha. And
so Din Djarin wasn't born on Mandalore. He was born on some planet that got attacked by the Separatist forces, and the Mandalorians came and rescued him and made him into one of them. So, yeah.
So now, I mean, they are now establishing that there's just all these different factions of Mandalorians who feel that their way is the way, right? I think it's that Jango was a real Mandalorian, but to a different Mandalorian, he might not think he's a real Mandalorian. That everybody's trying to be more, they call it being more royal than the king. Like, you find with religious extremists, like everybody, no one wants to think that somebody else is actually, part of the same group. You find this a lot, like there are Christian sects that don't think Catholics are real Christians there, and things like that, just it's like real, intolerant kind of stuff. But it seems like this is like the Mandalorian way too, is that they all kind of think they're the real Mandalorians, which explains why there was a civil war.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So now it's back. Django's a real Mandalorian now.
Once again, yeah, but I would say there's an asterisk there on him being a Mandalorian. He was a foundling.
He's a foundling, but clearly not the foundling in the same order as Mando, because Django would take off his helmet readily. So whoever took care of him, was not in the same sort of extremist sect as Mando.
It could also be that Mando, after the whole Mandalorian Civil War thing went down, and it's possible his side lost, so he probably left the Creed and went to go do the whole bounty hunting thing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're going to get more into it when Bo-Katan returns and the Darksaber comes in.
That would be super interesting.
Because, I mean, I imagine that in the end, Mando is going to, at some point, kill Moff Gideon. Maybe this season, maybe next season. But he's going to have that fight with the Beskar spear, and he's going to win, right? And then either Mando is going to have the Darksaber, or he's going to give it to Bo-Katan, right? One of the two is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's going to change things politically. But we'll see what it does. But I guess we're going to have to find out more about these Mandalorian sects and factions and what's going on.
Well, they already started filming season 3, and from what people have seen, we might be visiting Naboo for some reason.
Oh.
Yeah. But Preston, do you have any more questions?
He still hasn't added the Krayt Dragon symbol to his armor.
Which I feel as though is a travesty, because killing a Krayt Dragon is kind of super.
I guess he doesn't have anyone to do it for him. Like when he does, next time he runs into the Smiths, he can do it.
I'm waiting for the really lame moment that we're most likely going to get, where oh, you brought Grogu to Typhon so he can choose his own path and choose where to go, but he has chosen. He has chosen to go with you. I'm waiting for that really cringy, wholesome moment. It's coming. It's
yeah,
coming.
but it's that has to be like the fundamental thing of the show. Like, that would be the last season or something, or because they have to keep the kid and Mando together, and they have to keep him on a quest, right? So we'll see what it is. Do you feel bad David Prowse died?
Yeah, that was. It also annoys me, like, the treatment that Lucas get. Like, Lucas did not like him at all.
Yeah,
because he was insufferable, supposedly. So,
well, I mean, everybody's insufferable to somebody. I'm sure George Lucas isn't exactly a barrel of monkeys to hang out with. My old school Empire Strikes Back poster is signed by him and Boba Fett.
Really?
Yeah, I'll take a picture of it and send it to you. You can pop it up right here. It's signed by Kenny Baker, R2D2, David Prowse, Darth Vader, Chewbacca, and then Boba Fett, who I think is Jeremy something or other. If people are like, if you were a true fan, you'd know all of their names off the top of your head. Jeremy Bullock, that was Boba Fett's original actor, and Chewbacca's actor died recently, didn't he?
Yeah, Peter Mayhew, I think.
Yeah, Peter Mayhew. So I think everyone. Well, maybe Boba Fett's actor is still alive, but the other three are all dead. On my poster.
Everyone's going, man. Everyone's going.
No, yeah, he's still alive. So once he dies, I'll have the set. All four of the actors on my poster will be dead.
What did you think of the episode, though?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I was surprised. I was just really surprised that they just went straight into it. But no, it was fine. It was again mostly action, very entertaining. But I like them bringing in these random characters that I didn't even think would be back, tying up like episodes that we thought were useless. Turns out they're not useless. So I thought it was pretty good. I thought good 6, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. You love the rankings. You love the rankings. So,
guys, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we'll see you next week with more Mando. Hopefully another main quest mission. But honestly, I wouldn't mind a side quest before we top it off with the series finale next week. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.